So, welcome back to another Half and Half Scarf football podcast with me, Nick, and my mate Dom. Two fans, two teams, never on the same scarf. And after quite a, a sojourn, shall we say, into the World Cup over the last 6 or 7 episodes, and a very, very special guest on episode 59, Harry Harris, who's just journalistic royalty. And I hope you've listened to that. We're back to more domestic matters because as we record this on Friday, the whatever day it is, the 24th, this will be going out on Monday, the 20. It'll be going actually the first weekend in August, but Monday, the 3rd of August. We're pretty close to the start of the season. So we've got loads of pre-season transfer stuff to talk about. We're back in association because it's league football with our supporter wellbeing, wellness and mental health partners huddle up. Bit more detail on them later. But without further ado, because we're going to go back and do the shirt thing as well, welcome back, Dom, to episode 60, which I know you want to say something special, Andy Newbold, of the Half and Half Scarf Football Podcast.
Can't believe it. It's episode 60, mate. And Andy, that's just for you. Every 10 episodes. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And I actually genuinely can't believe that we're now on episode 60, to be honest. The last 10 have flown. But Andy, that's just for you. We hope you're well, mate, and we hope to see you soon. And yeah, this is back to the bread and butter, mate. This is back to our comfort zone and stuff that we're more passionate about than the World Cup, which, well, as everyone who's been listening will realise, it was a bit of a disappointment for all of us concerned. So on to pre-season and lots of stuff to discuss. But the shirts, mate, the shirts.
Hang on, before we do the shirts, we could have called this episode Stuff and Things because that's about as much as we've got in terms of structure. The shirts, can I do mine first, right?
Yes, you can.
This is a thing of beauty for those watching, right? So Middlesbrough 150th anniversary this season. This is our new away shirt. Nice bit of shoulder detail. The colour is actually marshmallow, not white. It's got a fade badge. It's got a fade castore. Bit of a big sort of midnight sponsor on there. But colour V-neck. I love a V-neck with a detail. You know I do. Not as big as your V, but a nice little V. Bit of detail on the arm. This is a thing of beauty because it's a good job it is because our home shirt to celebrate the 150th anniversary looks like a shit trading top. But never mind, I bought it because it's a home shirt. But let's move on to your Hafnia yellow Evertonian shirt from God knows when.
It's from 1982 and they made obviously the blue home one, which is the holy grail, and I'm trying to get hold of it somewhere. Umbro won't recreate it. They recreate other ones. They won't recreate that one. And I want that kit desperately. And they had a white away, and they produced this as a third, but never released it. And I've had a mock-up of it made, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. This is its first outing. I will be wearing it next season at various games because, unlike you, I really don't have any issue with wearing an away top at a home match. But coming to your shirt, mate, I mean, who doesn't like a bit of marshmallow? I mean, come on. Everyone should like a marshmallow coloured shirt, shouldn't they? Really?
I think so. It's classy. And on the back, it's got 150th anniversary as well. So let's move on for those who are not watching, switch off in droves. So what's happened for this is over the last few weeks, World Cup or otherwise, I've been making notes in my phone of things that have caught my eye, and Dom's not seen them, so I'm going to read them out. He's going to comment. We're going to have a chat with him. A couple of the first ones are World Cup-ish related because they're of interest. Okay, so he's one. Start with the first one. Donald Trump wants to nominate Infantino as the next UN Secretary General, as he believes he's respected around the world, has a unique ability to bring people together. I put, you couldn't make it up. Both are deluded fools with not an ounce of awareness, self or otherwise, and that was in the New York Post. That wasn't some fool on social media. Trump wants to nominate Infantino as the next UN Secretary General because he believes he's respected with a unique ability to bring people together. I'm prepared for you to go parental control on this one, mate, but you know, within reason. We've got a lot to get through, so what's your initial reaction?
I'll keep it. I'm stunned, to be honest, mate. I'd not even read that. It doesn't surprise me with Donald Trump at all. but it really shows the disconnect between him and the reality of real life and people in general. Infantino is he's just poison. He's a parasite, and he doesn't bring people together. He's basically all about the coin. He's everything wrong with football, as we've said, and the way the game's going and the state of the game that it's in. And I do hope everyone's listened and watched episode 59. Our wonderful guest Harry Harris, who had some very bleak words to say about the prospects of how football's going, which I think you could probably sense me and Nick were a bit stunned, because it's like we kind of felt it, but this is someone who was actually, on the ground, as it were. And if it's coming from someone like Harry, then we should all be worried. So, the only plus side I can think of, mate, is that if he takes up that role, there's a presidency of FIFA job going. Well, unless he dual roles. And so, that would mean that hopefully there's a chance for someone to actually come in and do good.
Maybe he's going to be player manager at one of them. Player manager of FIFA and player manager of the UN. I'll be honest with you, Donald Trump just makes shit up in his sleep, and I don't know if he's got any way of even nominating somebody for the UN Secretary General job. But anyway, that made me laugh. Second one's World Cup related. It's about Cafu, really. Cafu was commenting on Brazil's complete and utter abjectness in terms of the World Cup and their continued sort of lack of world dominance. And they're a bit entitled, Brazil, aren't they, in terms of we should be doing this, should be doing that. But he said, I'm afraid the more Brazilians move to the Premier League, the fewer chances for Brazil are to win the World Cup. Imagine being brainwashed by the media every week that you're in the best league in the world. Meanwhile, you're nowhere near the best. He said, I prefer La Liga because they have a high mentality to reach finals and win. La Liga, they don't have a mouth in front of a TV camera telling lies about Spanish players or hyping them to the rest of the world. They speak football, not myth. Wow, that's a damning indictment by Cafu of the Premier League and, of course, Brazil. I read that with interest, and you know what? I tend to believe him.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I'm probably 60-40. I think he's on the money about the Premier League. And isn't it interesting that he says that when during our World Cup coverage and we were talking about Brazil, didn't we both say they now play a stale European brand of football? They're like everybody else now. Everyone plays the same way of playing, whereas Brazil teams of old had that magic about them. And yes, you could argue that for the last 25, 30 odd years, players from Brazil and longer have gone on and played in, European leagues. But back then, the leagues were better. The Football League was better. When the Premier League first started, it was better. It's not what it is now, which is just this.
It had elite overseas players. Now we've just got overseas players.
And you could also say that in Brazil, Argentina, South America, their football is certainly rawer. It's certainly more, honest in terms of. I'm not saying honest on on every level, but it's honest in terms of it brings lots of different elements of football in, and it's more alive, and it's not as sterile and as controlled as the Premier League. Yeah. La Liga, I kind of get him to a point, but it's still, come on, as a league spectacle, it's not the greatest, is it? When you've still got the same two teams winning every year. It's a hard one to quantify and a hard one to kind of put a summary on, because we both love the Bundesliga, but we know its faults in terms of Bayern winning nearly every year. Yeah. But it doesn't stop it being a great league. Spanish football is great in lots of ways, and it isn't stifled as much in terms of Premier League feels more and more controlled by off-field stuff than it does by what's going on the pitch.
But it is breeding winners in Spain, isn't it? And I think that's the point, isn't it? I guess. Okay, let's move. I just thought it was interesting that his take on Brazil was linked to the Premier League and obviously.
All I'd say on that though, mate, if you look at the Premier League, it's full of everyone. It's full of players of every nationality, and so and to an extent, so is La Liga. So it's a hard one to quantify and say, well, is the Premier League what's killing Brazilian players? I'm not really sure that is the case.
It might sound like an excuse for being shit, mightn't it? To be fair, but let's go with that. The next one we mentioned on a previous pod, the tributes to Kevin Keegan. And the one I've put here, the tributes outside St James's Park are amazing. I assume there was similar at Anfield, Southampton, and even Hamburg. I've only seen the ones on social media outside Newcastle, an outpouring of sort of love and grief for the guy. And I just found it interesting. A lot has been made about his lack of natural talent being overcome by this determination, graft, and hard work, and the fact that he knew he was limited as a naturally gifted, naturally born footballer. But what a lesson to all young footballers now to make the most of whatever talents you've got, harness them to an engine and harness them to desire. And he won 2 Ballon d'Ors, he won lots of awards. But the one thing I want to add to this came out from Ben Wilson, a friend of mine, who's also listening to the pod. And he said the world's gone a bit mad and gone a bit soft because people were phoning in to TalkSport with their memories of Kevin Keegan, and one or two were choking up and all that kind of thing. And they were saying, are you okay? Have you got somebody there with you and all this kind of thing? They didn't know the guy. Don't get me wrong. You can. It's a bit like when Princess Diana died. People were just like, "Oh my God, the Queen of Hearts. I've lost somebody in my life." You didn't know the woman. You know what I mean? Tragic as it was, and tragic as Kevin Keegan's passing was, TalkSport offering counselling virtually to people who were upset by it. Bit mental, really. What do you think?
Yeah, it's that's slightly crazy. I was upset to hear he died. He was one of my boyhood heroes, and
I'm
the
mad.
fact that he is, and it's another one of the greats who, back when football was good, normal people. And again, referencing our wonderful guest on the last episode, Harry Harris, who said, footballers back then you could mix with them, you could talk to them. He said they were normal people. He said they were earning more money than all of us back then in terms of, but not in what they are now. But they said they were playing for the love of the game, and they came from good backgrounds, and not saying players from today don't, but it said that they knew how to handle themselves, they knew how to be socially, they mixed with everyone, they had a grounding, and Kevin was one of those. And I'm always a bit perplexed when people who don't know someone can get that upset and also feel the need to ring into a radio station, which I find a little bit odd. I was really sad for him and his family and everyone else. But I think I did listen to the Lee Clark one when he phoned and he was talking to, I think he was talking to Five Live. I think it might have been someone else, and he got quite emotional. But Lee Clark's got skin in the game because he knew him. He watched him as a fan, and then he became a player under him. And he just said and it was really simply put, beautifully put. And he just said, the reason I'm upset is because he was just brilliant. He wasn't even talking about him as a footballer. He was just saying he was a brilliant man. He just said it was just the little personal things, like he's a gift would arrive on your doorstep when you had a baby, and so he said his personal skills and how he was with people was exceptional.
Yeah, and I think the tributes, have played justice to that, and great to see. Moving on to, there's two more quick World Cup references, and this, you'll love this, by the way. This is official from Sky Sports. Breaking news: Real Madrid will make no move for Enzo Fernandez this summer. The Argentine player in midfield is completely rejected, and Real Madrid decided not to negotiate with Chelsea on a move, and the club will focus on other goals. You called that a couple of weeks ago, mate, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. And I mean, let's be honest though, why would they want him? He's shite. I mean, he really is shit.
It's nice to have it confirmed that he's shit, though, isn't it? By somebody other than just a half and half scarf, though.
I mean, we said at the time, he's got a long range shot on him. He's always had that. You've got to have something, otherwise, why on earth would he be playing the game? And his goal against England was great, but the guy just lacks absolute class. He's childish. He's not very nice. The way he speaks is derogatory about everything. And then I saw him on social media this week saying, "Oh, I'll do better. I've got to do better," and all. It's like, oh, fuck off, man. Honestly, you won't do better. Give it 2 or 3 or 4 months' time. He'll be back to doing what he always does. Bang average player, never turns up when you need him to, apart from an Argentina shirt. He's dog shit for Chelsea. Not a nice human being.
No.
And why on earth would Real Madrid even want him? But then, to be honest, does anyone really give a shit who Real Madrid want as well? They just go and cherry pick anyone and then see how it all pans out. I mean, nobody really cares.
I threw it in there because I know how much you love the Enzo Fernandez roadshow, thinking he's better than he is, and
Yeah,
thinking he
yeah.
was going to Real Madrid, and they've just said not really.
No,
No,
yeah. He's
not
gonna
at
get.
all.
He is literally gonna get pelters every week. That fella away
Yeah.
from him, and he deserves it as well.
His apology was a sorry, not sorry, wasn't it? It was a sorry, I got caught. It was a Tonderecker Spygate apology, a non-apology. It was
Oh
just like
yeah,
a sorry, I'm sorry, not sorry, sorry, I got caught. So moving on from him because we're going to give him our airtime. The last reference, which it links in nicely to Real Madrid, it links in nicely to Brazil. It also links in nicely to the World Cup. Now, I have no issue with how people spend their money, but you might have seen this week that Vinny Jr. has had some cosmetic surgery work done, and he's had his
oh no,
well, hang on, he's had his chin chiseled, he's had his jowls sort of removed. He's given himself a stronger facial confidence. You know what? If he's had an issue with all his life with how the bottom of his face looks. That's entirely up to him. I've no issue how people spend the money. But this one is for Simon Jennison, our resident Barnsley dad joker. He was referred to on a call on Talksport as Chinny Junior. Absolute genius. Chinny Junior. So he's had a facial reconstruction round his jawline and round his chin and round his jowls. And somebody's now referred to him as Chinny Junior. And I've put
Giddy
there
Junior.
classic football banter. Love it.
Yeah, Simon would be proud of that one, wouldn't he? If he come up
Oh,
with that, I think he'd be really
it,
proud of it.
yeah,
Simon,
Chinny
come on,
Junior.
why you'd be listening, mate? Why didn't you come up with that one?
Yeah. Anyway,
He'd be
so
kicking himself, won't he? He'd be kicking
he will.
himself about that.
Yeah, he's like Chandler off Friends. He'd be thinking, why didn't I say that? Why didn't I say that? Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Let's get on to our heartland. Let's get on to the name of the podcast, the Half and Half Scarf. Okay. Now, this was sent to me by, I can't remember who sent it. And I apologize. You're obviously a listener and watcher, and I will dig it out and put it in the show notes. York played Sunderland in a pre-season friendly, and there was somebody outside selling pre-season friendly half and half scarves. York versus Sunderland right now. First of all, why? I mean, secondly, if you're a Sunderland fan, you're not buying a memento of a pre-season game against York. And
No,
if you're a York fan, I don't think you're buying them anyway. But the question was, I think it was Simon might have sent it actually. The question was, what do they do with them all? I think I've asked this before. If they don't sell them, they're done. That Sunderland are not playing
yeah, you
York on
spent, haven't you? Yeah,
on this given date again. I don't get it. I mean, first of all, the half and half scarf, York versus Sunderland in a pre-season friendly, just on
no,
every level.
just no.
No, just no.
It's probably gonna. I mean, just no. Full stop.
A
And
tenner.
we know the irony of on this with us because I obviously support two teams, but I'd never have on the same scarf. I'm
No,
Middlesbrough through and through, first and foremost. I'm adopted Evertonian. I'd never have on the same scarf. And if they're playing
no.
to get each other, I want Middlesbrough to win. That's just a given. So,
Yeah.
but the thought of all of them, I mean, these must be costing you at least a fiver, probably a tenner. Why are you dropping a tenner on a half and half scarf? York v Sunderland. Why would you even do that
They're a
on a
tenner.
pre-season
They're
game?
probably
Where are you going to put that scarf afterwards? Are you going to display it somewhere with pride? You're not, are you?
no. Stop doing it is what I want to say. They'll never stop doing it. It's
No, they'll never stop
just
doing it.
bizarre, bizarre. Okay. Next thing, and we're going through these, rattling her through because there's a lot to get through. I've put here Morgan Rogers was going to Arsenal, apparently. Morgan Rogers was going to Arsenal for 80 million quid. And then Chelsea just rang Villa and went, we'll give you 117 million. So they went from 80 to 117 million and said to Morgan Rogers, you're a guaranteed starter for Chelsea. And he went, oh, okay. So Cole Palmer is best mates there as well. The good news with 180 million is 23 million coming to Middlesbrough because of a
Yeah,
really
yeah.
cleverly kind of contracted
Clause,
sell-on
yeah,
clause.
sell on clause, yeah,
And I'll tell you now, no Borough fan, not one Borough fan in the world would ever think that when Morgan Rogers left us for Villa for 10 million plus add-ons, that we would be getting 23 million quid from a British record transfer fee less than three seasons later. But you know what? He's a brilliant footballer. Not sure anyone's worth 117 million quid. But I'm looking at Arsenal thinking, you bid 80 million quid and were very confident he was going. Apparently, had a meeting with I was say Wenger then, Arteta, and was really up for it. And then Chelsea just came in. Where did Chelsea get 117 million quid from?
Well,
Just
exactly,
to drop on a
exactly,
deal?
exactly. It's once again that throws the murky world of really you can just throw 117 million quid at it.
Yeah,
It's it we've anyone listening. Hopefully, you've listened to the back catalogue. We've discussed the murky world of Chelsea and all of their dodgy dealings, and the murky world of the agents and everything that's gone on. Where are you getting 117 million from? And of course he'll go there. Do you know why? Because he'll get a massive signing on fee. He'll be
yeah,
on a huge wage. I think he signed a 7-year contract. And
yeah.
all of a
Six
sudden he's
year,
there
six year,
spouting,
6 year
yeah,
contract. Yeah,
all of a sudden he's there spouting, it's the best club in London. Well, it isn't. I mean, they've probably won more than anyone else, but it definitely isn't the best club in London by a
I'm not.
country mile.
I'm
And
not sure they
I'm,
have.
I'm a little bit disappointed in him, to be honest. I'm thinking, really,
Yeah,
you're going to Chelsea? And
I'm not. See, I'm not disappointed in him because he's given 23 million
no,
quid
I
back to
get that, but
Bournemouth.
we'd have got a chunk of money anyway at some
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
I'm just one. I can't speak for the player. I don't know what his plan is, what his future aims are. But why would you give up Champions League football and playing for an amazing club like Villa to go and play for Chelsea? I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but that's just how I feel about it. That's my own personal
I
opinion.
agree. I agree.
But
I
but
found it a very
but
bizarre decision
yeah,
to.
but Villa will have literally bit the hand off. I mean, as soon as someone's saying we'll give you 170, we're like, yeah, off you go. We'll
Yeah,
take that money and reinvest it. But then, you know, we've talked about this because we talked about it with Elliot Anderson a bit. It's just all the head's gone, isn't it?
yeah,
115 million for Anderson, and he's come out with all the nonsense of the pride and the best of Manchester. It's like, shut up, Elliot. Seriously,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
What are you being told to say here? You're a
Mm.
young kid. Do your homework, or just don't bother, or say something. Say something that you've actually come up with, because
Say
as
something
big as
interesting,
yeah,
not
say something
corporate.
interesting, because as big as City are, you're not a patch on Man United in their
No.
history. You won't even come close. So
Mm.
stop all that stupid nonsense. Yes, City have done much better than United over the last few years, but stop all that childish nonsense. Say something original. Say something of
Mm.
your own, and just do better. And Morgan Rogers, 170 million for a kid that scored 30 odd goals.
Mm.
Please.
I
I mean,
know.
he's a good player. He's 23. He's got talent. He's not a
Didn't
world class player.
didn't
Nowhere
start
near.
for England. Didn't start for England,
Yeah,
did he?
he's not a world class player yet. Before
Mm.
anyone starts jumping on and piling on, he could become one. He's got a
Yeah.
good attitude. Yes, he's going to be playing with his best mate. I know that's a bit. They always wanted to play together, but yeah, and he might be wanting to play under Alonso, but it's just I expected better of him, but then maybe when you see something like that and you see the pound signs and the contract and the massive wage, and he's thinking, oh, in a year's time we could be huge and in Europe and everything. But yeah, I just thought better of him, and I thought,
Yeah.
but I can understand why Villa sold him. I think they were always looking to sell him at some point. And I think they'd have been happy to sell him for 80 million quid. But as soon as someone's giving you that money, they'd be like, "You're going, lad. Off you go. See ya."
We'll drive you to Stamford Bridge. Here's the
But
thing,
then the
though.
weird thing is, mate, they then go and sign Garnacho.
Oh, that's
Oh,
segue,
Segway
the
King.
Segway King, right? Because I've got all is not lost, Villa fans, because coming in the return journey in
Snarky bugger.
reverse,
All is
you've
not
got you've
lost.
got Garnacho from Villa to Chelsea with an obligation to buy after a loan, and somebody said, "But we don't have to buy him." But apparently, it was on BBC Sports saying that the obligations are so flimsy that there's every likelihood that they will have to buy him. So Garnacho goes from Villa goes to Villa from Chelsea as a replacement. I put here, it's like replacing a Ferrari with a Fiat Punto,
Yeah,
and a Fiat
yeah.
Punto with a dodgy engine and a fucking attitude problem. I mean, I don't care if Morgan Rogers has left Villa. I wouldn't touch Garnacho with a 10-foot barge
I
pole.
wouldn't. I think the only gamble they're taking is they're hoping that Emery being who he is, that he'll instill such discipline and insist on all the things that go with that, that he'll become better. But I look at it and think, surely Emery will look at him, and if he's not even remotely close to doing what he wants, he'll just bin him off. He won't play him. And you can't tell me that Unai Emery wanted Garnacho. You can't tell me that. I'm not buying that for us. The lad is absolute dog shit. There's a player in there, but whatever. Well, there was years ago. I think there was a player somewhere in there, but that's been lost a long time. He's got a horrible attitude. He's really childish. He's the epitome of what modern football's become. Chelsea must be literally pissing themselves. And Villa fans, I'd be really disappointed. I'd be like, I don't want him at my club. I don't want. He's poison. I think he's. Well, he was at Chelsea for a year. What did he do?
Yeah, nothing. But speaking of childish, he has got a face that you want to punch in, doesn't he? Really. So that's me being challenged by another transfer that his head's gone. So, Crescencio Summerville was going to Roma from West Ham. He was on the plane to Roma for 50 million quid. Ali Bongo, Al Murray, Al Reitman, Al Hilal, or Al whoever Etihad, I don't know, I think it was Al Hilal, came straight in and said, we'll give you 80 million quid. So from 50 million quid to West Ham to 80 million quid to West Ham, Crescencio Summerville went, aye, yeah, I'll go. If you're Crescencio Summerville, you are not just the commodity. Why would you, at your age, go to Saudi? Because you look at the guy who was at Duran, what they call him, Duran, who was at Villa. He's disappeared up his own backside. No one's ever heard of him again since, because he went young and he's made the money, but his football career's gone.
He's at Fenerbahce now, isn't he, or somewhere like that?
God knows.
Yeah, no one cares anymore anyway.
How is that not the biggest waste of a career at his age to go to Saudi? Nobody ever stays. They all hate it. He'd have been better off going to Roma, but West Ham have gone, 30 more million quid. You can't blame West Ham commercially. Why wouldn't we take 80 million?
But the player can still say no.
He can say no, can't he?
Do you know why he hasn't? Because he'll be getting a massive wage. It'll be all about the coin.
How much
I
money
guarantee
can
it.
you earn?
What a shame, because he's a really talented player.
I know.
But we didn't. I'm not sure if me and you discussed this off air or whether we actually said it in the pod. Read something about Oscar when he left Chelsea. Yeah. He went to China. And he was kind of defending and saying, well, I didn't sleep for days because the money they were offering, I made in my time in China, I made 150 million quid, and the match bonus. I was able to just live off the match bonus alone, and then everything else. He said, and we're from Brazil, it's a lot of money. It's like, fuck off, mate. Seriously. I know you. I know that where you're from, it's you might be from a really poor background, but you're already a professional footballer playing for Chelsea, so you were already earning huge money. So you suddenly saying that your family in Brazil, who were poor and weren't earning anything, aren't now in a fabulous situation? But no, do you know what? I'll totally sell the soul on my football career, go and play in China, because my family needs 150 million pounds to live on.
Because they can't live on 40 million quid, can they? Anyway,
but again, it goes back to, and I know, it sounds like we're deliberately plugging this. We're not. But it goes back to our wonderful guest Harry Harris, who said, sadly, they're from a different background and they are mercenary, and they're not there to be loyal to any club. No. They're there because it's always financial for them. They can, like he said, they can kiss the badge and say I love you and all the rest of it. But he said all they care about is the money. But surely, like anything, you get to a certain point where it's like, hang on, if I love this sport, I want to play for the best teams and win things and have a career that I can look back on and go, that was amazing. But then maybe if they're not in it for that and they're in it for the money, they'll treat that as successful. But again, going back to your original point, great player, Summerville. I'd love to have seen him at Everton. He terrorised us last year, but what a shame he's going to a league that means nothing. Exactly. Nobody cares about, and nearly this. And we've discussed before, haven't we? Briefly, we kind of got why Ivan Toney went, because he came into
Yeah.
football late, came through the pyramid late. He's probably thinking, this is my 2 or 3 years. I'll make everything I need,
Yeah.
and then I can just do whatever I want with the rest of my life. I kind of get it to a point, but he could have gone to the likes of Arsenal or anywhere, and he could have still earned
Yeah.
amazing money and still had a
Exactly.
fabulous post-football life, but had a bit more credibility. But I suppose it comes down to whatever you choose, doesn't it? Really, me and
It
you,
does.
not being money people, we'd be giving our right arm to have a career where you played for the best clubs in front of the best fans and try and win stuff.
Al Hilal, Roma, no
It's
comparison.
there's no contest, is there? No.
No, and you know what? It's not like Roma are offering 50 quid a week, is it? You know what I mean? It's not like Roma are going to say to him, "You're going to be a pauper." You can live on Roma's wages and Roma's
Yeah,
signing on fee, can't you?
yeah.
Anyway,
And sure, and I don't know how it works, mate, but surely as a player, even though a club comes in and offers 30 million more, which obviously West Ham would love, surely the player does have control and say, no, I don't want to go
yeah,
there.
yeah,
You're not
exactly.
forced to go where the club tells you to go. I mean,
Well,
players have all the power now, don't they? So,
I'll be honest with you. That's called trafficking. Otherwise, if you do that, so you can't do that, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Now, I've put here discuss the Chelsea move for Rodgers and why Newcastle and Villa in particular can't spend that type of money. I'm not going to get into the intricacies of the replacement for
mm,
PSR, but the traditional big six can do what the fuck they like. And then the likes of the Newcastles, the Evertons,
yeah,
the Villas, Villa have to sell to buy. But
yeah,
Chelsea can go out and spend 117 million quid. Man City can
yeah,
go and buy 115 million quid at Anderson. Not bat an eyelid, not kiss my ass, cough, whatever it might be. It's literally just a complete and utter shambles when the clubs like Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United, Man City, Arsenal can just spend whatever they like, and they're literally creating a monopoly that excludes Villa and Newcastle and Everton and other
yeah,
aspiring clubs
yeah, yeah.
because they have to sell to buy first. I don't know the intricacies of it. I'm not a financial sports lawyer. What I know is it's wrong and it stinks.
Yeah, it does, mate. And do you know what else? And I think, I'm not sure, again, if we briefly mention this on another pod, but we'll probably come into this more as we go into the new season and as the summer hots up transfer wise and again in January. But these clubs are doing this deliberately. They are inflating the prices and
Yeah,
they're deliberately buying these players at high sums because they know that it then inflates the market for everybody else.
yeah,
So it means that a £2 million player becomes a £10 million player. A
yeah,
£40 million player suddenly becomes a 60, £70 million player. And they know that loads of clubs suddenly then can't do that. So they're prevented from going and buying players they want.
yeah,
And they do it for that reason. So they get who they want, but they know that because of them inflating the market and paying a high premium, it raises the bar for everyone else and
yeah.
they can't compete, which stops players moving to other clubs and it makes them stronger.
That's a
It's
really
all
good point.
ridiculous. It's an
Oh,
absolute it's an
yeah.
absolute nonsense. And once again, this could be controlled and curtailed.
Mm,
No player needs to go anywhere for 115 million quid. It's absolute rubbish. It's
yeah,
nonsense. The whole thing is
nonsense.
nonsense, and it's all made up and inflated.
Yeah,
Crap.
I agree. I agree with you. Let's look at something strange. I like a stat. I do.
Oh, oh, I'm looking
I
forward
love
to
a
this
stat.
one.
I
I
love a
know.
stat, right? Okay.
Yeah,
So this is for Championship fans, for those fans who don't support Bolton Wanderers. Because if you don't support Bolton Wanderers, you'll be playing Bolton Wanderers twice this season in the Championship. So Bolton are back for the first time since 2019. And by the way, hats off to them. I like
yeah,
Bolton as an away
I
day.
do.
They got in via the playoffs and they finished fifth in the league to get in through the playoffs. And they smashed the playoffs, to be honest. Okay. But here's the stat. Last season in League One, they scored an astonishing 13 goals in injury time. 13 goals in League One to amass 17 extra points. So without injury time, they'd have finished 14th. They actually finished fifth. So all I'm saying to Championship fans is, first of all, don't leave early if you're playing Bolton. Secondly, tell your team don't stop playing at 90 minutes. Well done, Trotters. 17 points in injury time last season. I
Yeah.
think that's an amazing number. And I think if they have that attitude, that'll get them over the line this season. Because
Oh, it will.
that's a. But I've also put here is the winger Kozia Dewberry available on loan from Brighton, because he was brilliant for them last season and he'd really suit the Borough. So I don't know what's happening with Kozia Dewberry.
Do you know, I was reading about him yesterday, and it's completely gone which club are interested in taking him, but he is on the radar of clubs. He might not be there at the start of the season, mate.
No, no. Anyway, that's fine. So, what do you reckon? 17 points in extra time, injury time, over 13 goals. That's amazing, isn't it?
Amazing. I mean, 17 points. That's huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely huge. All from that precious bit of time when,
Mm.
you know, you just. I mean, we all love an injury time winner, don't we? God,
Oh, yeah.
how do we how do we all not love an injury time winner? So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a great start, and I think it's great what you just said. Be on your guard, everyone. Because they'll be at it again next year, unless they lose the players that
They did
gave
it.
them that. But I've got a lot of time for Bolton. They've been through a huge mess the last few years. Slowly
Yeah.
brought themselves back around. Great part of the world. I've been there on many occasions. Know a lot of people from there. Really
Yeah.
good people. Love their football club. I'm just glad they're back and,
I
and, and
am.
thriving. So long may it continue. Yeah.
Okay. Something that was in the news yesterday, Wolves cancelled training because Odakore, or is that how you pronounce it, Odakore, refused to leave the pitch after being told he wasn't part of the plans for the new manager and the squad and go and train with the under 21s. He wouldn't leave the pitch. Then they had to get rid of him with extra security and then bring extra security in to stop him returning. I put all is not well in the post Snake Man era at Molineux, and they're one of the favourites for promotion. That's not a good look in pre-season if that's happening.
No.
That's not going to be a great sort of moral stance and start for a club, because in the Championship it really is often about getting off to a great start, isn't it? Doesn't look good,
Well,
that
it
does it?
is. It is. I'm going to lay my cards out on this one straight away. So everyone listening, please feel free to pull me up on this later on. But I'm gonna say it now. I think Wolves are going to struggle. I don't think they're favourites for promotion. I'm not really sure. I mean, this new manager they've got, he'll either be a revelation or he'll die on his arse.
Yeah.
Personally, I think he's going to die on his arse. Um, and
Many
I
have. Many
Many
have at
have.
Molineux.
It's
Yeah.
Wolves as well. It's Wolves as well. They're so volatile. They pull the trigger on managers all the time. They haven't got a clue in terms of retaining talent. Not even sure. I mean, when Edwards was sacked, Kieran Trippier was rumoured that he was thinking of tearing up his contract. That he agreed. I don't know if he's gone through with that or whether he's there.
No, he's there.
They've sold some other big players. I don't really rate them for next season. I think they'll be got at quite easily. But that's. But why would you? I don't know the whys and the whatnots and all the intricacies, but why would that happen where you announce that when he's on the training pitch? I mean, honestly,
Yeah, keep it in house, wouldn't you?
just keep it in house.
I'm going to add something to this. Everyone at Wolves and quite a few observers are spaffing about Raul Jimenez, and oh my God, Raul Jimenez 5 years ago would have tore up the Championship. I think Raul Jimenez will struggle to get double figures goals this season. That's my take on
Yeah,
Wolves.
he's not. Yeah, I think that's a good shout. And I like him, by the way. So I'm not saying
I
this because I
do.
don't like him. I think he's always been great in the Premier League. I've always really liked him. He conducts himself really well.
Yeah,
But he's never really set the world on fire at Fulham either. And yes, I agree. I think at Wolves he was dynamite, and I think it's a really nice signing that they've got him back. And I'm sure from a fan point of view they're loving that. But I
yeah,
agree with you. This is around him as 5 years on, and
yeah,
he's not exactly pulling up trees. I mean, the Championship might be. We might suddenly see that he literally lights up the place and thinks, "This is my playground. I'll tear them all up." And he could. There's a
yeah.
possibility that he could.
Mm.
But I also think the players around him give him the service to score those goals, and I question the service around him. To be honest, I don't like, and I've got nothing against Wolverhampton Wanderers fans. I'm not talking about their fans. I'm talking as a club. They are appallingly run.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, the ownership is an absolute joke there, and they just need to. you see it all the time, don't you? Like with Rob Edwards, we're planning for the future. Rob's going to be with us a long time. We want a new philosophy. 6 months in, and he's gone. It's
Yeah.
like, and it'll be the same with this guy.
Can I just add though about Rob Edwards? That was a shame, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And isn't it funny how no one's queuing up to take him on as manager? So
Apparently, he turned down the Burnley job, but then again, so did I, and I think you were next to get the phone call from Burnley. So we'll cover that as a separate issue.
I think it was a bit far from home for him. I think, mate. I think it was a bit
Was
far from
it?
home for him.
Did he look at the map, or did his daughter tell him? Because that's how he gets all his social media news. Anyway, we're not giving that little rat any more airtime. But I've got a few other things here that have come out, and they're all championship related. So we apologise that we're not talk sport, talking about the top three teams in the bloody Premier League. I've got here. There's some trouble at Sheffield United behind the scenes as well. They've not paid the former owner, Prince Abdullah, his instalment on the previous sale, apparently. And he was issuing a winding up petition against the holding company who now own Sheffield United. I put whatever the politics and background, they had a messy buyout. They had red flags all over the place at the club. Alan Nil left. And then, bizarrely, Andre Brooks went to Norwich. Like, he's one of them miles better players. He's gone to
Yeah,
Norwich, a direct rival. I don't know whether Chris Wilder is about to lose his shit at Sheffield United. And you know me, massive fan of Chris.
you
Big,
love him, don't you? You're
balanced,
good pals, you and him, aren't you?
balanced individual. Not a twat, not a twat at all. Wouldn't cause a fight in an empty room. I reckon Chris Wilder might just be in trouble with himself because I think if he doesn't get what he wants, and given what happened at the start of last season, there's a lot going on there, a lot to unpick at Sheffield United, and
Oh, there is.
they are a
It's a
big
good
club.
subject you've raised there, mate. I've been keeping abreast of this, and it doesn't feel like a very happy ship there at
No,
all.
no,
Good players leaving, a lot of background noise. I agree with you on Wilder. He likes things a certain way, and if things are
mm,
taken out of, even if certain things are pulled away or out of kilter, he, for me, I don't think he functions well when he's not given the keys to the kingdom.
yeah,
And I think I mean, he'll either, and this might be stating the obvious, is he'll either surprise us all and have a great season and be really strong, or it'll just be very mediocre and miserable and nothing really to talk about or see here. And I think it's going to be the latter at Sheffield United
right.
next season.
Here's a call. You called Wolves not going be
Yeah,
automatic promotion or
yeah,
whatever it might be. I'm going to call the fact that Sheffield United will get nowhere near the top eight for the automatic for the playoffs in the Championship. I just think when this stuff's going on behind the scenes, Chris Wilder does not function well, and
doesn't function well.
I think he'll be gone by October. There's another big call. Right, that's a prediction. I don't do predictions. Next one I've got here. Weirdly, you might enjoy this. Preston's first home game of the season against Huddersfield in the Carabao Cup is going to be played at Goodison Park
It is, and I'm
because
thinking of going as well because
I knew you would just to go and see the old lady and Gladys
just to
Road
go
end
and
and whatever. Yeah,
I might even try and well, I actually own my old seats now, so
right.
they won't be the actual seats, but I might even try and get to sit where I used to sit. Anything to go
Can't
back
you
to
take your
Goodison
seat?
Park.
Can't you take your seats in with you as you go in, mate? And be
Could
like,
take my seat in with me, couldn't I? I might just carry it in. So I'm sorry, I've got my own seat, thanks. Do I get a discount? Um, I
yeah,
seriously looked at that and thought, I'm going to go to that because
yeah,
any excuse to go to good. And I do try and get to a few women's games in the season, but yeah, they're only that. Correct me if I'm wrong. You might know more than me, but they're only doing it because a Preston having work done or something, which is why they
yeah.
can't do it there. But I was
They're relaying the whole pitch.
relaying the whole pitch, aren't they?
Having said that, right,
It's
and
an odd
I'm
one,
not
though, isn't it?
I'm
It
not
is
a
an odd one.
gardener. I'm not a gardener, right? Or a groundsman. But the weather's been pretty good this summer. How can you not relay a pitch and bed it down from the last game of the season in May right the way through to early August? I mean, God knows are they laying it down with gold
Mm.
bullion underneath? I don't know. And on the Preston front, by the way, and I will say this about Preston, they normally are financially cautious, let's say they're financially cautious, right?
Yeah.
They've gone out and bought Alfie Devine on a permanent move for
Mm,
£6 million. Championship Young Player of the Year last season. Good player, good business.
very good player.
And here's the question. Will signing Alfie Devine for £6 million, and I'm assuming that must be Preston's Records transfer fee. They don't spend money a lot, do they?
They don't.
Um, on a really good footballer, will that make them any more likely to stay in contention after their usual good start? Because they all start the season every season. They start the season well, don't they? And then basically after that they go, oh right, they finished 17th. Um, I don't know. Alfie Devine for me, great signing, £6 million. Well done for showing a bit of ambition, Preston. Maybe show a bit of ambition with your pitch as well. But great bit of business.
Really good bit of business. I would say that it sounds like an obvious thing to say, but one player alone doesn't make a team, does it?
No, no,
Um, they'll be relying on him to do great things, and maybe that signing is them recognizing that actually they drop off every season at the same time because
yeah,
they actually started off pretty well last season. I mean, I was really surprised at how well they started, and then they literally tanked completely. So
yeah.
maybe is this is them saying we have to kind of be a bit bolder and get out there and do it, but I'm not fully convinced with the players around him that that's going to change their fortunes. And do you know
No,
what? I'm a fan of Preston. I wish them well. I don't wish ill of them. I want to see them do. I want to see more teams and different teams competing, and I hope they do well. But
like your Millwall
I'm
last
not
season,
convinced.
it was refreshing to see
It was
Millwall up
really
there.
refreshing to
Yeah,
see, and
yeah,
I want more of that. So I hope it works
yeah,
out. But Preston, you've signed that player, give him the support he needs, and
yeah,
then you might actually see yourself,
yeah.
top six and top eight now. Sorry, God,
Yeah,
yeah,
God,
top
yeah,
eight now.
okay. You are always the Segway king, and
Mm.
you mentioned a team that always tanks. So if you're thinking of a team in the Championship that always tanks and always finishes between 14th and 18th, who am I thinking of?
Oh, you're not thinking of Stoke City, are you?
Funnily enough, funny you should mention that. I am thinking of Stoke City because he's another stat for you, mate. I love a stat, bit of
Yeah,
research. I put Ben Pearson of Stoke. By the way, how's he robbed a living as a footballer for the last
I know,
50 years? But
I
no,
know.
Ben Pearson, clearly the most journeyman. Well, he hasn't journeyman. He's played at Preston, he's played at Stoke, but literally the most non-entity of a footballer you've ever seen. If he gets 5 bookings in the coming season, he'll be the first player in Championship history to amass 100 yellow cards if he gets 5 bookings. And I guarantee he's nailed on because his legs have gone, his timing's all over the place, and he's a
Yeah.
dirty bastard. So Ben Pearson this season is highly likely to be the first Championship player in history to get 100 yellow cards. But he's made it.
But,
Hey, I'm not knocking you, Ben. I'd never want
hey,
you at
at
my
least he'll
club,
have won
but
something.
he's
Does he get an award for that? Because that might at least he'll have won something in his career.
he'll have to fight Lee Cattermole for it, won't he? I guess, but
Yeah,
or somebody of that nature. But what do you think of that? 100 yellow cards for a guy who is just a non-entity of a footballer,
yeah.
really?
I mean, he's knocking on that. He's older than us too, isn't he, Ben Peter? Isn't he in
Put
his late
together,
sixties, early
put together,
70s?
put together. Oh yeah, but let's leave Ben
You know
Pearson
what?
right.
As soon as you mentioned the Stoke word, suddenly start feeling this like lethargy and tiredness come over me
Yeah,
because it's
yeah.
just like, oh my god,
Oh
it's
God.
Stoke.
Well, when the fixtures came out, the last fixture I look for is Stoke away. As if to say, fuck, I know we're going to play them, but I don't really care when. But we're still on the Stoke subject, right? Because Jonathan Walters is their sporting director.
He
Not
is,
not liked at all. He's done nothing as sporting director. He's actually they kick-started their season last year. I think they were third by end of September, middle of
yeah.
October, and they were all spaffing about it. And I just said at the time, you'll finish 15th, 16th. I think that's where they finished. However, this is the most glowing testimonial and reference for Mark Robbins I've ever heard. Okay, so Jonathan Walters, sporting director at Stoke, was asked directly about Mark Robbins, and he said, Mark Robbins is definitely starting the season as our manager. Fuck me. Talk about that as talk about vote of confidence. Mark Robbins is definitely starting the season our manager. Oh, Mark, I bet you feel
Bet you feel
absolutely
really comforted by that. But
special,
yeah,
special don't you,
the
by that.
the the bit they left off from that, which they cut off, was he's definitely starting the season as our manager, but he's not going to be ending it as our
He's not going to
manager.
be ending October by the sound of it, is he? Really? To be fair, I just found that statement was like, Christ Almighty,
But you
Dan
know
was
what
saying,
Stoke are like, aren't you? Don't you?
yeah,
So
yeah.
if he doesn't start off well, they
Oh,
won't have
don't
any. They won't have any faith in
no,
thinking, "Hang on, we've been here every other season under every other manager.
yeah,
So well, hang on, what should we do? I know what we should do. What we should sack the manager and get someone else in because that might help us. No, God, really, that's amazing.
yeah,
In other words, what you should do is say it happens every season anyway. So
yeah,
why go through the trouble of sacking him and all the money that goes with that and bringing someone else in? And they usually bring someone else in from another club
yeah,
and take that manager from their club. Just stick with him. He's an
yeah.
idea, Stoke. Just stick with him because you never know. 2 or 3 years in,
He might
magic
make
might
it.
happen. It might
Exactly.
not, but have a bit of faith. Because let's face it, who else are you going to get, and will it really change? The
Mm,
answer is
no.
well, no.
Michael O'Neill, and no, it won't. Um, Two more things, very briefly. We've talked about sort of Summerville going from West Ham. West Ham going to be flush with money.
Yeah.
Um, we've talked about Wolves. Let's just talk about Burnley very briefly. How long did it take Burnley to appoint a manager? I mean, Scott Parker
I,
left 3 or 4 games before the end of last
I
season. Scott
know.
Parker left in April, and it was pre-season before the guy came in. I don't even know what his name is. They don't have a clue how many of their ex-Premier League stars are going to stay. I think
Mm,
Burnley are going to start slowly, and I like the idea of that because I think Borough play in their fourth or fifth game. We're away at Turf Moor,
yeah.
um, but I think Burnley every year seem to be struggling. It took them ages to appoint Scott Parker, and they didn't know their squad until the last day of the transfer window in that particular year. Ultimately, they went up because they had the money in the squad to go with it. But again, I'm not sure Burnley are going to be all that this season. I think they're struggling because they'll struggle to get an ethos over from a guy who's only been there 2 minutes.
Yeah, I think that could happen. I think there'll be a lot of movement in their squad before between now and the end of the transfer window
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah,
So
yeah,
but the one award they do win this season already is for having the most dullest, most boring new home kit I've ever seen in my entire life.
I haven't seen it.
To
Is it
go on and
shit?
have a look at it online, you'll fall asleep instantly. I mean, it's a real joy. It's an absolute perler from Castor. It's awful, absolutely awful. But
Okay.
it's almost as dull as the football they play. So
Yeah.
for once, I actually hope that they don't have a great. I'm not. I don't. It sounds like I'm wishing them ill. I'm not, but I don't. I'm sick of the Burnley
Up and down.
to and fro. They come
I am.
down, have a good season, win the championship, go up, dull as shit, don't do anything, come back down, do it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Um, I'd rather no, just sort out your style of play to a point where actually you could go up and maybe compete for once. So
Yeah. Because actually,
I
under company in the championship, they played really good football, didn't they?
yeah, he did, but he tried to do it. He tried to do it in the Prem, but did it in a
Yeah.
way that just left them completely exposed, which
Yeah.
it was just all wrong. It's
But
interesting.
then he got the buy-in job though, didn't he? So it didn't matter.
Yeah, yeah.
Jesus.
It's interesting though because last season we said this that it was really refreshing that the three that come down didn't necessarily compute to being the three that will automatically go up.
Yeah.
I feel the same about this season,
Mm.
and we might get proved tragically wrong. And what the hell do we know? But it feels a bit like that to me. It
It's hard
feels
to break. It's hard to break the championship, isn't it? You know, it is. It is famously the league that keeps on giving. But I'm just conscious of time. I want to finish with one thing. This is nothing to do with now. It's something that happened at the end of last season, and we never had chance because of the World Cup, whatever, to pick it
mm.
up. And it's remained on my list of things that have pissed me off about football. So it's the first opportunity. It's related to last season, not this season. And I've just put here guards of honour for retiring footballers mid-match, stopping the game, guard of honour, both teams in some cases, and clapping them off the pitch. if I was on that pitch, I'd get the ball and smack it in the fucking top bins when there's nobody watching, mate, because there's no place in football for stopping a live game so Bernardo Silva can wave to his family while walking down a tunnel of his peers. Fucking, there was three of them last season, at the end of last season, when people were
Yeah,
moving on. There was one for Salah, there was one for Bernardo Silva, I think. There's one for somebody, a guard of honour mid-match. If you've got a player in whichever club you're in who's retiring or it's their testimonial season or whatever it might be, when he comes off, give him a round of applause from the stadium. But he comes off without a guard of honour. Guard of honour is like a fucking hydration break. It's got no place in
just
football, and
nonsense,
that's what I
mate.
want to
Yeah,
finish on.
yeah, I totally agree. It's nonsense. Just if I was a player as well, I wouldn't want it. I'd be like, God, I don't want that. I just want to come off the pitch. I'll celebrate at the end and have a lap of. I'll do a lap after the game. Pure and simple.
I've been holding that for 3 months.
God, you look mightily relieved to have got rid of that one, mate. Absolutely.
That has been like irritable bowel syndrome. It's been brewing around for 3 months, mate. I've just, pardon my French, farted that out onto the podcast, and I feel a lot better and a lot lighter. So on that basis, mate, I don't think we can finish with anything slightly better than that, can we? So let's go back to the outro for those who watch it on the YouTube. Bear with me. Behind the floating meeting controls. So we've been back to domestic football. Loads of stuff that we've picked up on. This episode's been in conjunction with our partners at Huddle Up. For those who are not aware, we've partnered with Huddle Up. They are EFL Championship, National League, kind of relationship builders for the supporters. They're looking to put in place through clubs, through supporters groups, through anyone who's got connections in those kind of areas, in the, like I say, Championship, EFL, and National League.
And hopefully the Premier League if people will listen to them.
I
But
don't.
yeah,
I think they've said there's too many politics in play, but these are the guys who put together well-being, wellness, supporter kind of liaison, and are there for you when you're struggling, whether you're struggling financially, relationship wise,
anything,
just
just
with
anything at
whatever.
all. Yeah.
These guys are great. Contact details are on the screen. Contact details are in the show notes. Thanks again for watching or listening. Next time on episode 61, which is going to be a couple of weeks down the line, because Dom is off to Mallorca this week.
Mm.
Yeah, we're always trying to be current, so we don't know what we're going to be talking about. But because it's pre-season, I think it's going to be more stuff and things, Dom. What do you
Yeah,
reckon? Yeah?
I think so, mate. Yeah, but we often have the odd episode that's to be confirmed, and there's nothing wrong with that. So it gives us time to see what happens in the next couple of weeks. So
It
yeah,
does. It does. We've got a special guest coming up in August as well, so more on that later. Right, Dom, I'm going to have to go. Catch up with you later. Enjoy your holes and speak to you soon.
thanks, mate. Yeah, love that one. I'll speak to you soon, mate. Cheers.
Cheers.